This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Welcome in, you degenerates. I am the Doc, John Macron, joining me, my guy Phil, here today to talk about the struggles when things don't go as good as planned. Phil, what's going on, brother?
Again, my balls caved in this week, dude. I could literally do nothing right. I was on fire last week, and now, like, it's basically everything's been wiped this whole week. I think I'm, 0 for the last, 15 now.
What's been happening? This is all in the NBA and Major League Baseball?
Yep. You know what, dude? I'll be honest. The NBA right now is just so crazy. I personally, I bet against the Pistons with Charlotte a few days ago. I believe it was on Tuesday or Wednesday. And I mean, just some bad backdoor covers. Them and I took Sacramento as well against Oklahoma City. Literally, they're both covering into the final 2 or 3 minutes of the game, and then I lose the cover by literally a point.
Oh,
and that's basically what's been going on with the week. And the Major League, I got to stay away from Atlanta. And Detroit. I bet against Detroit back on Tuesday. Like I said, Tuesday was just a brutal day. I just got wiped on Tuesday. I literally couldn't do it. Literally the last 3 days, can't do anything right. So
when you look at it, do you think that potentially a new strategy for you is when you have a good streak and you start having a day or two where it's not exactly going right, just to take 4 or 5 days off?
Yeah. Fortunately, there's a free bet tomorrow with the Sixers and the Pistons. The Pistons are getting 76. So that's a $25 free bet. I'm going to take that. I'm going to wait on that and chill. I'm going to try and regroup a little bit. Cause like I said, I had run it. I was down from when we first started, and I built it back up to almost to where I was at. I was at 500. Now I'm literally down to $30 again. So
what you say is that it does kind of even out. You realize that as hot as you get in the world of gambling, like you said, 53% makes you a professional. That's how tough it is. It's not easy to maintain a bankroll and to keep everything going positively, man. It's just not easy.
You know what it's like? It's just like that in cards. Hell, dude. I mean, I can even talk to you about you know how good of a bowler I am. I can do the same thing. Unfortunately, there are spots and there are situations where it's just I'm going to go back to my data science right now, regression to the mean. Like you said, I was on a hot streak and I literally had won 12 in a row and ran it up. Now everything's coming back down and I'm back down. I'm actually minus now because just because of the volume of bets that I put in, I haven't won anything. So it all somewhat evens out. So you got to try and find a way in. Unfortunately, you're right. I probably after Tuesday, I probably should have just chilled for a couple days, regrouped, tried to take a look at what analysis I was doing of the games I was picking and whatnot, and then try and regroup. So I'm gonna wait because typically on Mondays they'll also give a little bit of that bonus for the NBA to where you can get somebody at plus money to score the first basket. So I'm going to try and chill for a couple of days here and try and take some free money spots and build back up a little bit. Cause like you said, I'm having a hard time picking them.
Yeah. Well, or I think if you can find the odds, save as much money as humanly possible and bet it all on Floyd, baby. Would you do it? Go all in? Oh my God. What is it right now? The odds?
Yeah,
is it my?
Yeah, I don't even know, dude, but that's stupidity. This is such a joke, dude. I really hope that I know this isn't the case. I know people are going to buy the damn pay-per-view, but give me a break, dude. Paul has literally fought an NBA player and a doughboy version of MMA fighter. Like, if Floyd's in shape, just barely in shape, as long as he doesn't come in looking like Ben does, like, this should be a joke, dude. I don't care how big he is.
Okay, so the odds are ridiculous. It's negative 100,000 at this point in time. So here's what that means.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, right now, Floyd Mayweather is a -1 with 5 zeros after it. Negative 100,000. So let's say.
How much is Jake then?
What's that?
What's Jake at?
Plus 2,000.
Oh my God, dude. You know what? Once again, let's see how smart Floyd is. Hey, I'll tell you right now, this is where you watch to see if the fix is in, dude. Okay? Those numbers are absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely. If he gets plus 2,000, and you know how much money you've seen pictures of him going betting million, 4 million, 5 million. Dude, if once again, we talked about this with Ben, if he gets some of his people to go and bet $1 million, couple million on plus 2,000, how brutal would it be if he took a punch? If he just took a punch,
bro?
Like,
yeah. So to literally put that into layman's terms, you have to bet 100,000 to make $100.
Yeah,
that is ridiculous. It's unbettable. It's just unbettable on Floyd Mayweather because it's 99.9% that everybody believes he's going to whoop his ass. So plus 2,000 would indicate, let's just say, okay, let's say $1,000 at plus 2,000. Let's see what it gets you. Plus 2,000.
That should be $200K.
$1,000 at plus 2,000. It says 21,000 on 1,000. But
10, 100. Yeah, no, that's right. Think about it, buddy.
I'm on actionnetwork.com. I typed in 1,000, put in plus 2,000. You'd win 20K.
Yep, just add a zero. That's all.
Yep. So actionnetwork.com, type in the calculator. You can type in any bet. You can type in the odds, and it'll tell you exactly what you're going to win. So that's why you can be a smart bettor. So $1,000 gets you 20, so 20 times your money if you did it in that. Yeah, could you imagine 100,000 on Logan? No, I wouldn't do it. That one is just right now, as we speak, is a bet that nobody should touch because there's no way. Did you believe the hype? Do you believe that the hat stealing Logan Paul? Did you believe that scrum, or do you think it was bullshit?
It's all bullshit, dude. Yo, they're like, I mean, if anybody really buys that, like, I say you and I figure out a way to put something together. If people are that dumb to spend $60, dude, shit, it might even be 100. We got to find a way to get $100. If we can get like 1 million people to give us $100 to do some dumb shit, I'm in, dude. Like, you can kick me in the balls with like a pair of like some spikes on the end of your shoe, like for like if we can, like, if I get like 60% of the money to heal my balls up, I'll take it, dude. I mean, give me a break. Yeah, it's really embarrassing to boxing that this is going on. So it's just a situation in which you it's for money. It's a money grab. People want to see people fight. It's the age old thing. Now it's to the point that they want to see influencers get knocked out by a real boxer. I mean, for Floyd Mayweather, what's the purpose of doing this? Is it just really to take a couple $1 million and to fight somebody? Because at this point in time, you got $100 million to fight a human being. And now you're going to take it and really get in the ring with somebody that's an influencer. It feels like he's kind of like one of those dudes that traditionalists wouldn't really like because he's just all about the money. If you said, hey, Floyd, I'll give you $50 million to fight Phil Pomani, and then he'll give you a kick in the nuts as a penalty, and he's going to stand there and you just fight him, and he'd take it. It's just... Is it really worth the money for him to kind of devalue the sport in that manner? He can't be the best for the sport. Walk away undefeated. Commentate. Someone will give you money just to, even if you just started an OnlyFans where you got to hang out with him by the pool every day and to see him make bets, people would pay him probably $1 million a year. Yeah. You know what, dude? And unfortunately, I mean, this has been the issue with boxing for years now. Like, there's no legitimacy. None. This is just further detracting from it. That's all. Yeah, absolutely. One to stay away from for sure. So you've been getting your teeth kicked in baseball and in Major League
and in the NBA. So now, if you do get back into it, is it going to be just more focused on NBA and some of the props, like who's going to score first, stuff like that? How are you going to build? What's your plan, Phil?
Well, I'm gonna, number one, I've got to rethink how I'm going about like researching my games. Like you said, right now I'm trying to bet against teams that are bad. Detroit's pretty bad. I've been trying to bet against them. I was trying to take advantage when Cleveland was sliding, when Minnesota was there, but Minnesota's pretty bad as well. That's why it's comical that Minnesota and Detroit play. They've got a series this week, and I don't even know who to touch in that series right now. That's how bad they're both. They both have been against the spread and the money line. So, like Philly and Atlanta, someone else. Like Atlanta's been playing pretty poorly as well. They can get a lead, but then they blow it. So, like the Yankees had been turning around. I put some money on the Yankees yesterday, and Houston smacked them around. So, I mean, to be honest with you, as I look at all these records, like literally everybody's just hovering right around 500, either a game above or below. I mean, shit, even the Dodgers, dude. The Dodgers, I would have thought, would have been like the safest play this year for the start. In the beginning of the season, they were, but once again, they're someone that's slid in. They've been on a slide a little bit this week. I mean, listen to these records: 17, 15, 15, 16. 17, 15, 16, 17, 16, 13, 16, 14. These are all the matchups that we're seeing this weekend. I mean, the biggest disparity right now I see St. Louis versus Colorado, 18, because St. Louis is 18 and 14 and Colorado is 12 and 19. So I mean, Tampa Bay and Oakland's a pretty good matchup. They've got two of the better records in the league. So I mean, like, really, how do you go about it? Like, I'm going to have to try and find a different way to go about analyzing these games right now, because I can't put anything together, man.
Do you think it's safe to just say, okay, let me stop spreading out so many bets and let me just bet against the Tigers and just bet the Dodgers for a couple weeks and see if that evens out? Because, look, the Tigers are going to win 1 or 2 games a week, but if you're betting $25 every single game against them, and then you bet $25 against the with the Dodgers, doesn't that kind of make it a little bit so that you're kind of doing well? Or bet the over in the NHL?
Yeah, you
just hyper-focus the bet on one thing for a long period of time to get the bankroll up before you decide a new strategy.
Try and minimize my risk. Like you said, I mean, this weekend, I'll be honest, I don't really want to touch the series between the Twins and Detroit, because it really could go either way. They're both really not that good. I mean, Boston should have killed Detroit that whole series. And the fact that series was as close as it was, and I mean, hell, the Tigers even took one of those games, man. I mean, so yeah, I'm gonna have to really take a look. Like you said, I might just stick back to betting against Detroit. Now, unfortunately, Detroit's at home. So I mean, maybe we can see what the odds are getting them on the run line, because I know Minnesota hasn't been producing very well. So like you said, I'm gonna have to go ahead and take a look and see what the pitching matchups are. See how I mean, look at these batting averages too. Like Candelario is 356. I mean, like that, he's the highest on the Tigers right now. I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna have to really do a little deeper dive in before I start getting back into everything, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Candelario, Victor Reyes really are the only two that are just worthy. Robbie Grossman's the professional. Where everyone's waiting on Miggy, but it's unfortunately right now the Tigers are being talked about as one of the worst teams in the entire Major League Baseball. And of course, the thing with Fenway Park is it's a softball park, man. Everyone can go there and get healthy, and that's a good thing. And maybe it'll help pick up the bats. But unfortunately, Miguel Cabrera is just killing the team with his less subpar 200 batting average. So the roster in and of itself is terrible. And then what everybody's worst fear is when the offense gets back into form and the bats heat up, then the pitching staff falls apart and you give up 4 runs in an 8th inning. So that's the struggle with the Tigers for sure, is that You don't want to have it where they go on a 4-game winning streak right when you're trying to catch up on a bankroll.
Yeah, and like you said, and to be honest with you, this weekend is absolutely one of those instances, just because Minnesota is basically in the same boat as them. So
yeah, so okay, maybe a pass this week on Major League Baseball. Did you consider maybe let me hyper focus on one sports gambling, maybe as opposed to both sports gambling and playing cards? Let me say, hey, let me try to get a number here, and then switch it over to cards, and then try to get a number there instead of doing both concurrently.
Well, you know what's funny? I'll be honest. I haven't played poker in probably it's been over a month at least. Like you said, after the stint on Poker Stars, like you said, and I only put $20 in. I mean, I lost it, but it took me 6 weeks to go through that. So I've really just been trying to I've been really trying to just focus on the sports betting. Problem is, and I'll level with you, some outside stuff has gotten in, especially with me trying to get my get the certification done. So I'm trying to focus on completing that so I can get back out and get some guaranteed money coming in so I can do the extracurriculars. But like you said, I think that might be inhibiting my research as well. So
okay, understood. So there's something that you got to do in regards to just keeping the bankroll afloat. What advice would you give someone now based on your experience similar to what you got going on?
Like you said, try and take advantage of all because there's going to be opportunities. It looks like these the free money bets are coming out about every 2 weeks or so. DraftKings is giving everybody $25 basically here or there, and it's basically to keep everybody, like you said, afloat. I mean, I see some guys betting $100 on 14 parlays. Good for them. If you really want to legitimately try and be profitable and minimize your risk, you're going to have to pick some better spots. Betting parlays is not something where you're gonna come out ahead, because there's going to be opportunities where you got 3 or 4 year legs through and you're waiting on the last one, and just the odds are against you hitting all 4 of those legs. So you want to try to pick and minimize your risk as best as possible when you're trying to build your bankroll. So like you said, I'm going to take this free 50 tomorrow. It'll get me back up to just a little under 100. And then I'm going to try and take a look at everything that's going on and pick and choose my spots. I might have to bet a little smaller because I had increased my unit size to 20. So I might have to back down to maybe 5 or 10 just to get a couple wins under my belt and start building back up. And then, just trying to take, once again, there's never a sure bet, but trying to take it where it's somewhat in your favor and go from there.
Gotcha. So that's what it is that's the name of the game in the world of betting, is that you got to be able to be flexible. You got to know when to push a little bit when the odds are in your favor, take some of the free bets, take advantage of it. And then remind everybody what's the free bet, and let's start taking a look at some bets maybe that you saw over the weekend with the NBA outside of what you might do, but maybe some plays that you find to be intriguing.
So the free bet is if on DraftKings, the Pistons are getting 76 points against the 76ers tomorrow. So that, like you said, you can bet 25. It's going to return you 25. Now, the Oklahoma City Thunder, they have been in a dive. So the fact that the Sacramento game really, really stung, and I believe that was on I want to say, was it on Monday or Tuesday? Let me double check, because I believe it was Tuesday. Yep, it was. Yeah, it was on Tuesday. I know Sacramento was on the road, but Oklahoma City had been basically they've been free falling for the last month and a half. So the fact that they covered there is just it was a rough one. And then I'm looking Oklahoma State's playing Golden State tomorrow night. I'm sure that line's going to be in the tens above. And then Detroit, like you said, Detroit's playing Philadelphia. Detroit's just an enigma to me right now. They're winning games that they shouldn't be and losing games that they shouldn't. I guess I could. The NBA right now is so volatile just because of everything that's going on. I mean, if you look at what's going on with the Lakers, the Indiana Pacers are very, very up and down. They beat Oklahoma City by what was it, 56 on Wednesday night, and then come back on Thursday and who did they play there? Oh, they beat Indiana by 7, but before that they had lost like 4 out of 5. So it's really, really hard to tell what's going on because everything's so volatile in the NBA right now. I'm waiting for the playoffs because I think the playoffs should be a little bit easier given how we know how all the teams are playing. We're not going to see as many lineup differentiations, so it should make it a little easier. Hell, look at what the Clippers did to the Lakers on Thursday night. They beat them by 24. So, I mean, it's just crazy what's going on right now and how up and down everybody is.
Wow, volatility in the NBA. You think it's because it's the playoff push? Teams are up in it, and the trends just might not be the same, plus with injuries factored in?
Yeah, that, and a lot of the lower teams, once again, are probably doing their best to, improve their lottery chances going in. I mean, now Dwayne Casey's sort of been getting screwed by by upper management because he's actually trying to win, even though Detroit's got no chance of doing anything. He's still been trying to put out the best team possible. So once again, you look on Sunday night, Oklahoma City's at Sacramento. This should be a spot. Now, given the last game, Sacramento beat them by 4. If that line's 4 or 5, especially with Oklahoma City being on the road, I would assume that Sacramento covers, and they should cover sort of soft. It all depends on, now they've had some recent injury history, but if De'Aaron Fox is playing and Halliburton's back healthy, that should be a game where they should win by 10, just given how poorly Oklahoma City's playing. But we saw what happened a few days ago, so it's just really hard to gauge right now, man.
Understood. Yeah, absolutely tough in regards to the plays there in the NBA. You see what's going on with the competitiveness. What do you make of? I just got word in regards to the play-in stuff. I'm kind of like LeBron. I think it's stupid. It kind of is like basketball was always meant to have 1 through 8 seeds, 2 conferences, the East and the West. Yeah, the West has been clearly better than the East over a longer period of time, and it's been dictated by where LeBron's been, the competitiveness in the East. But I don't feel like you have to jerk around with the game and put in play-in shit. I just find it to be repugnant. I don't like it at all.
This once again, this all just comes down to money, man. It creates more airtime, more games. I mean, just like the NFL added an extra game to the season. That's all really this comes down to. It's not gonna. I mean, you could get lucky. Like one of the 10 or 11s could sneak in, but I mean, they're not going to go anywhere. I mean, I'd have to go and take a look at the West right now and see what the standings are, but I can't see anybody coming out of the West from the 10 or 11 spot. Now, Washington in the East, that would be interesting to me because Washington could absolutely beat the Pacers right now the way they're playing. And then Miami and Charlotte, those two teams are sort of that's a touchy situation. So, I mean, the Wizards could be a team that could benefit from that. But I mean, they're going to get the 76ers in the first round. I don't think they have enough size to deal with them. Now we look at the West and you've got the Spurs and the Grizzlies. Once again, the Spurs haven't been anything like reminiscent of a Greg Popovich team. So they would be playing the Grizzlies if that 9-10 plane started today. And I would have to probably go with Memphis there. The team that could get screwed in this part in the West, because Portland and Golden State would play as of right now. Portland wins and Golden State, if Portland beats Golden State and they get in, Golden State and Memphis could absolutely beat Golden State because Golden State doesn't have any size. So, I mean, like you said, unfortunately, it just seeds. Last year, I totally understand. Given the way the season broke, everybody was a little bit rusty. I'm totally fine with what they did to try and give everybody a chance because they had been off for so long. Conditioning could be an issue. This year, there's literally been – I haven't heard next to any issues with COVID impacting these teams so greatly that it would cause an issue for them to just play their regular schedule. So I don't agree with it this year. It just sounds like a big money grab to me. That's all.
Exactly. It makes it so much tougher to gauge and everything like that. Changing the game, and with baseball too, with the 7-inning double headers, it's just kind of like, whatever. If we want to make a rule, let's just make it. And from my perspective, I'm more a traditionalist. Let's keep it the same, and I'm in agreement with you, man. It's just the decision makers sometimes don't take into consideration at least a little bit of tradition. And I think LeBron saying something, which is crazy too, because he took backlash. People were like, "What? What do you care? You're going to get a bye if you're a first rounder, if you're the best team in the West." Which is, I get it, but I just, from the perspective of keeping the game as pure as possible, even with COVID and things like that, like you said, there's no real evidence that there really was a need to even do this. But they've been trying to do it, and I think the worst thing that they would do is if they just said, "Screw the conference division. If let's just seed it 1 through 16." And intermingle.
Just like
I think
soccer?
I would probably just tune out completely.
Now, unfortunately, there's been such, and this has been going on since you and I were kids, man. Like, there's been such a disparity on one side of the league. Like, when we were kids, the East was, after the Lakers had their run in the early 80s, the East was dominated for the next, over decade. Like, it was the East, and then there was a huge disparity in the West where you had basically 2 good teams, and that was it. Now it's the complete opposite. The West is completely stacked, and there's just a few good teams in the East. So I understand the conference setup, but to be honest with you, the best product, there's some teams in here. Let's look. So Golden State's at 500, and then you go to the East, and Charlotte's actually just a game below 500. So I mean, and once again, I know COVID's caused some issues, whatnot. There's been, there's always going to be something, but I mean, I would like the best product. You're a big soccer guy. That's not how the best teams that are the best teams. They get into the playoffs, right? That's it. There's no you're 3 games below 500. You're gonna, even though you're the 8th seed in the East, you still get into the playoffs. I mean, who wants to see them get their ass kicked in the first round? Because that's all that's going to happen, right?
So that's the case. All right, I agree with you, and I agree with you 100% that sometimes these leagues are just trying to tinker around, money grab, and hey, you got to look at it too. The NBA. The ratings potentially are down. They're going to be up against a new deal that might be looked at in terms of attendance and stuff like that. So if they can take advantage of any money opportunities, then they will. Well, that's the way it goes. I guess you and I just have to come to terms with it. Let's try to find a way to take advantage of it. Let's see if any of these playing games give us some good returns in terms of action. Make sure you follow the network at Detroit Podcast. Anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast, make sure you type in Detroit Sports Podcast. When you hit that subscribe button, all our daily content finds you. Wanna Bet, the network's gambling podcast where we follow Phil's journey and try to figure out the best plays of the week. Definitely drops every single Friday whenever we're able to get together. Phil, I appreciate your time. Look, turn it around, small, safe. Let's pick this back up.
Yes, sir. Well, we'll have a positive week coming up. I'll let you know next week, buddy.